Guys, how's it going? It's Al. Draftkings Week 6 NFL DFS is here, and I am going to talk about my 5 top stacks on the week. It is a much shorter slate this week with only 10 games on the main slate because of Thursday night football, London football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. Combined with the bye weeks, now we have a much shorter list of teams to choose from. There's a very distinct group of games and teams that look like they might shoot out. A few very high totals on the slate. We're going to look at all of them and take a look at how to plug them into the Rotogrinders lineup HQ. If you wanted to subscribe to Rotogrinders, there is a link down below. smizzle.tv/Rotogrinders. All lowercase, it is case sensitive. That will take you there. You can use their lineup builder with the projections, and in their projection set are my best buys. You can click on that. It'll show you who my guys are. They're not in there yet on Thursday. The best buys article just came out on ESPN Plus. Go check that out as well. smizzle.tv/best buys. If you want all of the links, all my stuff, again, smizzle.tv/links takes you there to a perfect link tree with everything you need to know just in one spot. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and if you would be very kind, leave me a reply down below or share the video with somebody else that you know. It's kind of like Fight Club. You have homework. You got to find one more person and bring them the next time. So share the video, put it on your Facebook, or just click, copy the link and send it to text it to somebody. That's all it takes. Not all that much. We're going to hit my 5 stacks. So let's go.
He's a legend.
Smizz Gang Listener League is back for this week. 1,270 people have entered so far, 3,500 in total. We'll get into it. 35,000 in prizes, 3 max, $10 entry fee. Absolutely no rake. Be sure that you get in before it fills, because this week it is definitely going to fill. The link to that in the pinned comment down below. smizzle.tv/links. It has the link to the Listener League. It'll have the links to Best Buys. It'll have the link to all of my socials, everything. You can enter the Listener League through there all the time, or just smizzle.tv/league, and it'll get you there too. My first top stack of the week is going to be Lamar Jackson, who, again, coming off of Monday Night Football game, he looks like he's just too underpriced. He also might be a little bit too obvious this week, because in the projections that I've looked at, his projection is so far ahead of pretty much everybody else in the slate. And maybe that's because of the quarterbacks that are off this slate, with Josh Allen playing on Monday night, and the Buccaneers and Eagles playing on Thursday night football. That's 3 really high scoring quarterbacks who are off of the main slate, putting us in a situation where Lamar Jackson's floor and ceiling, based on how well he runs the football and how much he's throwing this year. The paradigm has changed with Lamar Jackson, where before he was not throwing the ball very much downfield. He's throwing the ball more often, and he's throwing the ball for a higher yards per attempt than at any point in his career. So he's always been a great floor player with a possibility of having a big ceiling. The ceiling chance is massively heightened right now with how well, aside from the one game where he dropped 3 touchdowns, we know that, how well Marquise Brown is playing. Mark Andrews, an obvious choice as well at tight end. A very small target tree when we go over and take a look at who he throws the ball to. Basically, Mark Andrews for 26+% of the time, which is absurd for a tight end. He's too cheap on DraftKings this week. Marquise Brown, 23%, and that really high ADOT, which leads us to a higher expected fantasy points per target. The longer the ADOT goes, average depth of target, the more downfield you get targeted, the higher expectation that target is worth. And Sammy Watkins, who left the last game injured, so if he's out, now Devin Duvernay at a value steps into that role as well. You can see them here, and then once they get into the red zone, it's Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown. So the fact that we can stack or double stack him, we can go over here to Rotogrinders. We'll kick this team in here. I'm going to use 1 or 2 of these players with Lamar Jackson, because the question is, usually I double stack my quarterbacks. I understand if you think that Lamar Jackson can get you a game-winning, a tournament-winning week, as he did here, like against Kansas City, where he really only threw for 239 and 1 touchdown, but had 2 rushing touchdowns and got you the 100-yard bonus. But the 2 weeks that he was a viable league winning or a GPP winning quarterback, this one was on a showdown slate. Imagine this game on a main slate. 4 touchdowns split between 2 players. If you think that the quarterback is going to be a difference maker for you in GPPs, then you have to account for that. Don't worry about median projection. You're not playing quarterbacks in tournaments for their median projection. You're not. And if you are, freaking stop doing that. We're going to include Mark Andrews. If Watkins plays, we'll include him. Devin Duvernay, if Watkins doesn't play. Rashad Bateman's still on IR, so I'm not going to include him yet, but he is very cheap. Marquise Brown for sure. Miles Boykin, no. So I'm going to allow for 1 plus and the possibility of 2, and I'll boost these guys so that I don't just get 1. But I'll allow for Lamar Jackson to be a single stack or a skinny stack, so to speak. But I'm going to try and make it more double stacks than single stacks. My next quarterback on the list is Joe Burrow. 6,300 for Joey B seems like way too cheap considering that they have sped up their pace the last couple of games. And now Detroit, who has allowed way more passes to go downfield, like 10 yards per attempt against Detroit this season, which is 30+% more than the league average. So when you challenge Detroit, teams are challenging them deep. And again, we have a very truncated list of people that he targets. Now, T. Higgins missed the game, so his total targets on the year are down. But essentially, and this includes every game, but like in the games that all three are healthy, Jamar Chase, 25% of the targets, 22% of the targets for Tyler Boyd, over 20%, between 22 and 25% target market share for T. Higgins in the games that he is healthy, with these other two gentlemen running along with him. CJ Uzomah kind of sprinkled in tournaments as well, if that's the way that you want to go. Considering the prices of those guys that are on this team, if we hit flex, Joe Mixon, I think, is going to have a lot of traffic. If Joe Mixon is healthy, I think that everybody's going to be on Joe Mixon, making this Joey Burrow stack or double stack lower played in tournaments. I don't think it's going to be much. I don't think it's going to be like super rare. I think that it's going to be something that is not going to exist in Joe Mixon lineup. So it gives you a pivot and a leverage off of Mixon if he does throw for 3 touchdowns. They could go to Jamar Chase, who's been outstanding, caught a touchdown 5 times this year. Everyone but one game. One game he had 2. 6,700 for him. T. Higgins is only 5,300. Okay. 2 touchdowns in 3 games this year. As they speed up and as they throw for more volume, which they didn't do the first few weeks, they're kind of ramping up their pass game a little bit. And Tyler Boyd has been up and down with his targets. Not going to be the guy that gets targeted around the end zone, but you could fit 2 of these 3 guys into every Joe Burrow stack if you want. And if you wanted to go with, you know, I want to get a value tight end that's going to be the lowest play guy to get contrarian, sure, Uzomah, but like realistic expectation of 2 targets, guys. He had the one game where he went off against Jacksonville, but really he's not all that heavily utilized for them. So heading over to the Rotogrinders lineup builder, we are going to click out all of these guys. I'm going to make sure that I get 2 players with him in every single lineup. I'll put Uzomah back in there. I did not want to take him out, but I'm probably going to weight up the other guys to make sure that I get them. Not going to include Auden Tate. I'm going to keep it real simple and straightforward. I'm going to make sure that I get Chase, Boyd, or Higgins the majority of the time, with maybe a little sprinkle of Uzomah in those stacks. My next guy is somebody that is near and dear to all of your hearts, Patrick Mahomes. Now, the problem with stacking Patrick Mahomes most weeks is that to pay up for 8,300 for a quarterback is extremely difficult. And you can get access to Kelsey and Hill without having access to Patrick Mahomes, either by stacking the quarterback on the other side or just using them as a secondary stack, which is typically how I go about doing it. Because the quarterback is never the guy that wins you the week. It's the other guys, like on, you know, that go along with them. So you're doing it to get a lower percentage in your lineups. For a quarterback to win you a week, they have to have like 45 points. And while Patrick Mahomes has done that once or twice, but like it's not a realistic thing. And look, 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. 36 points is a lot. Over 35 is a ton for a quarterback. We're like 28, 24. Could you have found another quarterback for like 2 to 3K cheaper that could have posted a 22 to 30 point score on DraftKings? Of course you could. And that's why we pay down at quarterback typically. However, this week, based on the pricing at running back and tight end, I think that you could actually fit Mahomes stacks. And I think that they may be a little bit more contrarian than you will think come Sunday, because most people just don't play Patrick Mahomes because of the reasons that I just mentioned. You know who's on the other side of the ball. We are going to have to monitor Tyreek Hill. He did not practice on Thursday. If he does not practice on Friday, it'll probably be unlikely that he plays, which is only going to make it easier to play double stacks with Patrick Mahomes, because then you'll have guys like Hardman and Robinson and Pringle that you could stack with Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce's at a freaking 25% off discount for some reason. 8,300, 8,500, 8,200, 8,100, 7,000. Okay, sure. I guess we're just playing Travis Kelce. Great. Sounds good to me. Where do I sign up? Looking at their target market shares, like I said, Tyreek Hill at 28, 29%. If he's out, that vacates an awful lot of targets. Tons of targets for Travis Kelce. These other three guys, especially with Eli, are out. Robinson, Pringle, Hardman will all jump up on the pass catcher list. Obviously, we're not going to include the running back in the quarterback double stack. We'll head over to Rotogrinders here. We'll click on Mahomes. We'll make sure that we use 2 of his pass catchers in every single lineup. The Jet McKinnon going to get some run, but Darrell Williams probably gets 75%. Kelce going to be my guy. Depending on Tyreek Hill's, I'm probably not going to include Josh Gordon in that group either. Mecole Hardman is a fine value now who's going to jump up a lot if Tyreek Hill is out. Not because I expect him to be Tyreek Hill, because he's not Tyreek Hill. He's fast and he's not big, but he's not Tyreek Hill. But the volume for Pringle and or Robinson and definitely Hardman, who has basically been the other guy on the field and got 12 targets last week, his value is going to climb in terms of how many people want to play him in tournaments in the case that is the case. So monitor that injury situation as the week goes on. Matthew Stafford, another team with a super high total this week, and he has been phenomenal this year. And his average yards per attempt has gone up in every week but one. So like week 1, it was like 7.5, and last week it was right around like 9.5. He's challenging to have his highest yards per attempt at any point during his career. So when you have guys like Van Jefferson and you have guys like Djax who can stretch the field, and Djax historically has been a wide receiver who, when he's on the field, has improved his quarterback. He is a difference maker. He is somebody who changes the way defenses have to guard. And whether or not he's the same guy he was 6-7 years ago is irrelevant, because defenses still have to change the way they cover, which is allowing for other wide receivers on this team who don't operate as much down the field, like Cooper Kupp, who has seen double-digit targets in every game this year and is $1,100 cheaper than Devontae Adams this week, and Robert Woods, who had a bust-out game last week, even though he was getting solid service before that. 14 targets in kind of one of his anomaly games, getting him 30 points without a touchdown, breaking the 100-yard bonus against Seattle, who has been absolutely horrific this year. The Giants also not great defensively. So a team that we do want to challenge as often as possible. The Giants giving up the 4th most DraftKings points to opposing quarterbacks so far this season. So as we go over to Stafford, we're going to build our team player group. Henderson is going to be really heavily played too, guys. Like, he's going to be one of the highest played guys on the slate. He's projected so far at 24.6. So if you these are going to change by the weekend, obviously. But if we build out a group and kind of look at what's left with these 5 pass catchers, 17.1 for Woods, 9.8 for Kupp. If you think he's going to be higher, fine, whatever. 1.5% on Van Jefferson at 3.4K. Deshaun under 1%. Higbee under 5. Like, there's a lot of ways to get contrarian exposure and leverage off of all the Darrell Henderson players that will be in the field this week. And then you bring it back with one of the players on the Giants, and there's plenty of them who are good values this week. My last play, I talked about how you might want to stack the other side. It's not like Kansas City has been good against the pass. You guys know my takes on Taylor Heineke, whatever. Okay? I'm not getting into how good or how bad whatever this guy is. The point is, this is fantasy, and I care about efficiency. I care about matchups. I care about attempts. I care about game scripts and game flow. Kansas City has given up the 2nd most points to opposing quarterbacks this season. He presents us a floor with his legs and touchdown upside as well. A very good chance at hitting the 300-yard bonus in a game where the total is 55.5 and has climbed. They project to be playing from behind the entire game, as their defense has allowed the most points to opposing quarterbacks so far this season, and the 4th most points to opposing wide receivers and tight ends this season. So Heineke and the Chiefs are basically the most likely game to shoot out. Baltimore's game against the Chargers, very likely to shoot out. Hopefully the Rams do as well. There's very few teams that can do that. But looking at who he throws the ball to and looking who's been missing practice this week, Terry McLaurin's good. He's only 7,100. Adam Humphries is in. We know that we're not going to be seeing Curtis Samuel this week. De'Ami Brown has missed a practice already this week. Antonio Gibson does not get the ball passed to him. Logan Thomas is out. Ricky Seals-Jones running a lot of routes, which essentially leaves us with a very few guys that we can target. There's just not that many guys out there. Terry McLaurin, 7,100. Real easy to target. Has gotten double-digit targets in 3 of 4 games so far this year. 30 points in 2 of 5 games this year. Looking at the other wide receivers, Curtis Samuel out. Adam Humphries could see an elevated target share for 3,400. And as I mentioned before, there's not very many wide receivers under 4K this week. But Ricky Seals-Jones basically slid right into the Lamar Thomas role, playing like 100% of the snaps, running routes on 75% of dropbacks, and logging 8 targets, which is more than Logan Thomas has gotten in any game so far this year. But he's not priced like Logan Thomas was. He's basically in the same exact role. So a double stack with Heineke makes a ton of sense this week, especially considering the matchup, the shootout possibility. I expect the players on Washington to be very popular. I will include them. Whoever's going to be healthy, we're probably going to include. Assuming that Cam Sims is healthy and playing a ton, we might include him. DeAndre Carter, maybe. Essentially, it's going to cycle around these 3 guys in my double stacks. And then you get to bring it back with Travis Kelce for 7K or one of the value wide receivers on Kansas City too. It's real easy to get in there. And as I said, if you click on the player pool over in the lineup HQ, right there, as soon as I send over my best buys, they will be in the Rotogrinders lineup builder. Great projections, easily stacked. And build rules that you can build in there, and it's very easy to build those stacks too just by clicking on this, and you can use the guys and pick the games that you want stacks. You can add secondary stacks from just the games that you want to make sure you're getting the exposure that you want. The lineup HQ is a great lineup builder, especially for beginners. It gives you very easy ways to build optimal tournament lineups, whether you're playing 20 max or you're trying to enter that mini max lineup to try and learn how to be a mass multi-entry player. So thank you guys for joining. Look out for another video right there. He's a legend.